GWATA TV gives you a first look at North Central Washington's business news. You'll hear from our local business, tech, and education companies as Jenny discusses hot topics and current events with some of the best innovators and pioneers in North Central Washington.
Hello, North Central Washington. Welcome to GWATA TV. I'm your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, and it's a real pleasure to be with you today. I don't know if you've heard the news yet, but if you haven't, GWATA hosted the third annual Flywheel Investment Conference on April 18th in downtown Wenatchee. And we had really big news this year. At the Flywheel Investment Conference, early stage companies competed for the chance to win real investment awards. And over $185,000 was awarded through our third annual conference. There's all sorts of details on our website, flywheelconference.com. But on our episode today, we're going to bring in the winner of the 2019 Flywheel Investment Conference, Beta Hatch. And we're also going to talk to one of our local angel investors to discuss why angel investors are coming out in North Central Washington to support early stage companies and what they envision for the future. It's going to be a really fun episode, lots to learn, so join us in just a minute after commercial break. Welcome to GWATA TV. I'm on air today with our first guest, Karen Rutherford.
Hello, Jenny. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to GWATA TV.
This is exciting.
It's so nice to have you on air.
Thank you very much.
I've had the pleasure of working with Karen the last, the last couple years on the Flywheel Conference and the Flywheel Angel Network. And this year, you and your husband were the fund managers.
Yes,
for the conference.
It was a wonderful learning experience, and it was also quite enjoyable.
Yes.
It was quite fun.
And well, you know, what does it mean to you to be a Flywheel investor? You know, why are you getting involved with supporting early stage companies?
Oh, I tell you, Flywheel began as a way to showcase this valley. We have the most amazing economic development groups in town. We have a great chamber, we have great ports, we have wonderful GWATA, and there was one thing missing, and that was a financing piece, an investment piece, a way to support new entrepreneurs and also draw in dollars to our community. And so a group of us got together and then paired with GWATA, came under the wing, so we appreciate GWATA so much. And through that, we now have over 20 investors that are investing in our community as one of those spokes on the wheel of economic development, and hopefully that little missing piece is now filled.
I agree with your sentiment there. We've got great resources, great drivers and supportive business, but having capital for companies that are non-traditional, right, that they don't fall into the lending category. You've got experience in bank lending as well. And they need angel investors for their new technology, their new ideas to really launch.
They do. When you get those startup companies, they're young and they're fresh and they don't quite qualify for the bank loans quite yet, and they're looking for ways to raise their funds, and also they're looking for mentors. They're looking for people that, investors that maybe have expertise in their product or in financing, people that they can bring along. So they're asking for an investment, yes, to get their product to market, but they're also asking for help. And that combination at that early stage investing is quite exciting.
And I love that you talked about the mentorship piece, because if you're an entrepreneur seeking funding, one of the great things about raising an angel round and raising the right investors is that you're tapping the power of CEOs, industry experts to really build out your team without adding to your payroll, right? Because you're investing.
Exactly.
Because they don't usually have a lot of payroll to be hiring the experts in these fields.
That's exactly right.
But you can tap into that. So let's talk about this year. And I know you know the number as well, but how many companies did we have apply to come out to Wenatchee this year?
We had 38.
Yes.
We had 38 companies, and the companies that we solicit are all Washington State based. our goal would always be to have the winner be someone from the Wenatchee Valley, but we're looking at also showcasing the Wenatchee Valley. So bringing in entrepreneurs and hanging out that we're open for business and open for financing sign is really important to us. And those 38 were wonderful. Everything from Loopy Laundry, which was the Uber of laundry, to high-tech medical. Really an amazing group, all inspiring.
And going through, tell me from your perspective as an investor, is it hard going through those 38 applicants?
It's very hard. You get just sucked into it, and we all divide and conquer, and then we have to bring it down to 6 finalists, and that's quite. We go through their financials, which are sometimes pretty slim in early companies. But most of all, we look at what are they filling, what's the problem they're solving, and then we look at their team. What is their team solid? It really gets down to the passion of the entrepreneurs and their team behind them.
And as you're reviewing the problem they're solving, you're also looking at the market, right? Because
exactly.
this is the investments that the Flywheel Angels are making are for a real equity piece. It's not a gift to the company.
This is not a GoFundMe site.
Right.
We are the next step up from GoFundMe.
Right.
We do take equity in your company.
Right.
Yeah, and we take that very seriously, mainly because we want to keep this going. We want to keep investing, so we want to be able to get a return on our dollar. We want to be able to have them be able to reinvest back into us, give us the money back once they sell out or become successful and can pay us back. That is a big deal, to be able to continue to invest.
And all 6 of the companies this year were outstanding.
They were.
All had the potential for investment, and I hope they continue to raise investment.
It'll be very fun to see them all grow.
Yes. Now, in our next segment, there they are on screen. Our top 6 CEOs. So we were really excited to have Lisi Global, Prescriptive Health, Beta Hatch, Gestalt Diagnostics, Node, and Vita Inclinata Technologies.
What a group.
Yes, all outstanding companies. Again, as I mentioned earlier, definitely check them out on our website. But today's segment, we're going to feature Virginia Emery, our winner of the 2019 conference. And before we bring her on air, what makes you really excited about that investment with Virginia and in Beta Hatch?
Beta Hatch is a unique mixture of solving they have a problem to solve that's universal, feeding the world. Getting the food. Down to with insects. So very intriguing in that respect. And then an incredibly knowledgeable team. They're a team that is everything from their finances to their technology to the fact that they're all PhD in entomology and bugs. They know their business, they know their stuff, and they have found good mentors with Wilbur Ellis, with good financial people. They are truly a good team, and the bonus and the icing on the cake is they're now moving to Kashmir. So they're now one of us. They're home.
Yeah,
that is the full package.
Absolutely, that's the dream for us, right?
Dream.
Through GWATA and Flywheel is to
Quality.
Provide this outlet for entrepreneurs to come here, and Virginia's embarking in that journey. So we're really excited about it. Now, before we go to break and bring Virginia on, what would you say to those who are listening in today who maybe could be one of our investors? What would you encourage them to do and get involved?
I would say it's an incredible learning opportunity, and it's a relatively small one in the investment world. To be able to join the Flywheel Fund is $6,000 per investor. And you need to be an accredited investor, which means you need to have a sizable number of assets, but not too much. Right. Most people are an accredited investor, so you can check with your accountant on that. But it's also a member of a team. I have learned so much, dusted off my old banking skills, and just really exciting. Not just the numbers and the investment part of it, but getting to know the Northwest investment community. We have been welcomed with open arms from the Seattle Angel Investors, the Bend Angel Investors, Portland, Boise, Spokane. They've all been there to help us. I learned that it's more than just Wenatchee, and we're not alone in it, and everyone's there to help us. That's very valuable. So come join us. Our goal is a larger fund. To diversify, we really need to put together $1 million fund, and to do that, we'd like to have an initial $25,000 investment from every investor. We have about $600,000 to $700,000 committed to that fund. We invite people to join us in that and invest in their valley.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, we're not doing this alone or in a silo.
No.
This is with sophisticated, great resources from the Pacific Northwest, nationwide. And we do have an investor meeting coming up on May 31st at the Confluence Technology Center. So
Come join us.
Yeah, you can connect with
Yeah.
GWATA for more details. We're going to head to break, but when we come back, we're going to bring Virginia Emery on air and talk more about Beta Hatch. So stay tuned.
Thanks, Jenny.
Welcome back to GWATA TV. I've been on air this morning with Karen Rutherford, our 2019 fund manager. And now I'd like to welcome Virginia Emery of Beta Hatch to our show.
Hi, good to be here.
Thanks for coming out. You came straight from Kashmir, right?
I did. We were looking at the site that we're planning to build, so it's in the works.
That's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on being our investment conference winner.
Thank you.
For the audience who doesn't know what Beta Hatch is, what is your company?
Well, Beta Hatch is Washington's first insect farm. So we're growing insects. We're doing this not to feed humans, but still part of the food system. We're feeding poultry, fish, other animals. So we're growing insects as an animal feed. We also produce frass. Frass is the word of the day. It's insect poop.
Okay.
So we have a saying that frass happens at Beta Hatch. And frass is fantastic organic fertilizer. So we're very much an agricultural business, but we're also a technology company. So we have been developing a lot of the science and technology to be able to produce insects at this kind of scale, because we've never done that before.
And when did you first form Beta Hatch?
The company is about 3.5 years old.
Okay.
Started out in what we called the bug barn. It was a climate-controlled shed that I built at my house in Seattle. So it's air-conditioned, humidified, heated shed where I started growing bugs. And we progressed from there into a converted office space, then into a converted small warehouse, about a 5,000 square foot footprint. And now we're looking to build a 30,000 square foot real full-scale flagship commercial facility.
You are the true entrepreneurial journey.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
From the backyard.
Exactly.
And then scaling through the process and in a relatively short time frame.
Yeah.
So congratulations to
Thank
you
you.
and your team.
Thank you.
On that. Now, why North Central Washington? Why are you moving out of the Seattle area and joining our neck of the woods?
Yeah, well, so Beta Hatch, actually the word beta in Beta Hatch comes from climbing. So I'm an avid outdoors person. I love to climb and ski and just be outside. And beta in rock climbing is this secret intel to get to the top of a climb. So the way that I think about the name is it's the secret intel to hatch the next generation of food.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
Yes.
from the beginning, Beta
Okay.
Hatch has always had its roots in the outdoors. And I've been coming out to Wenatchee for over a decade. My husband's family's from here. And so we have a lot of connections in the community, and we just love it here. And the outdoors in particular. Being in the mountains, having access to all the fun stuff we like to do, the lifestyle component has been a huge draw. But then from a business standpoint as well, being in an agricultural community, so we expect there to be quite a few customers in the valley, being in an area with very affordable electricity, because we're an indoor farming operation, so we grow the bugs inside in a controlled environment, so electrical costs here, that's a huge savings for us. And then land, labor, a lot of the elements of the business is just certainly a lot more affordable than Seattle, and I think this is going to be a great place to have our business.
Yeah. Well, we want to welcome you with open arms. I know the Flywheel investors were really particularly excited to see that your business plan included our region, which was, Karen was talking about earlier. Well, it's not a mandatory for the Flywheel Fund, right?
No. And so we were talking about what makes a good investment. What are we looking for? You know, the bonus is that you're going to be in Kashmir.
Right.
But the fact that you have such an intriguing problem that you're solving in a unique way, and that you have an amazing team. So tell us a little bit about Virginia. You have an amazing background, amazing educational background, and so does your team. So tell us what you bring.
So I, by training, I'm an entomologist, a specialist in insects. So I've got a PhD in entomology. I did that at UC Berkeley, and then moved up here and started Beta Hatch. My whole career I've been working insects. I've worked at other companies that produce pest control devices. I've worked a lot in education around insects, worked with pollinators. The number of insects I've worked with is quite large because I would call myself almost more of an ecologist than an entomologist, in that bugs are such a big part of the ecosystem.
The whole system. Well, we think of Wenatchee.
Right.
We couldn't exist without pollinators, without bugs. Yeah.
Right. So, obviously I've been working on one species, the mealworm, which we farm for the last couple of years. But between myself and my team, we have almost 100 years of entomology experience. So there are 4 other PhDs on the team right now. We're a team of 8 currently. We'll be hiring another dozen or so people to join the team in the next year. But the science piece is really key because I think people assume, especially if you've ever had fruit flies grow in your kitchen, everyone's like, oh, I can grow bugs, that's easy. But doing it at a large scale, doing it for food production is actually quite difficult. So it takes a lot of science, takes a lot of technology and know-how, and that's why we've got such a very overly educated team to solve these problems.
You're talking tonnage.
Yes.
Tonnage of bug frass and also mealworms.
Yes.
So in the visual, what does a ton of mealworms look like, or a ton of eggs, or a ton of frass look like? Ooh, frass. Let's do frass.
A ton of bug poop.
Bug poop. Let's get right down to it.
So we usually at this next facility we'll be shipping mostly in ton totes. So imagine it's a bag about the size of this table. Maybe a little bigger if it's about 500 pounds or so. So it's not even a full ton. And so, it looks like sand, the frass does. So everything's going to be contained. It's not like we're going to have a mountain of frass just hanging out
over the highway.
Yeah. But we'll be working with mostly super sacks, ton totes for the product. The mealworms, we actually right now have a customer, so those will probably be packaged into smaller bags, and that's a product for backyard birds. So our current customer sells whole dried mealworms for backyard birds, so anyone who has chickens. Goats love them too. Other animals that they're growing at their house. This is a great treat, along with all the wild birds, of course, that we have that migrate through the area. Insects, and in particular mealworms, are a great additional protein source for them.
And you've attracted the attention of some larger agricultural businesses.
Yes.
One such as Wilbur Ellis. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Wilbur Ellis is an investor in our business. They're really excited about this new kind of product. I think there's some supply chain components too that are interesting, because what we can do is use a lot of low-grade agricultural or food processing byproducts or co-products to feed the bugs. So on both sides of the equation, Wilbur Ellis is a great partner because they have such a access in the supply chain to different feedstocks for us, as well as we are producing both feed and fertilizer, which are some of their main products they distribute.
Excellent.
And from
exciting.
It's really exciting and it's fascinating. Things that we don't talk about every day: insect production and then insect byproduct, right?
Yep.
But globally, you're really addressing this because of food supply, right? Yes. And it's a really big, important issue. Feeding the world. So talk about the long term. Why affecting animal feed is important.
Yeah. So, we know that the population is growing. We have a lot more people that will be on the planet. We need to feed everyone, and there are multiple. It's not just about the amount of food, but the logistics around how we produce that food. So right now, animal feed, so the feed we use to feed our animals, that takes up about 1/3 of all of our crop production, is to feed animals. So meat is actually very intensive, not so much on the animal side of the equation, but a lot on the production of the feed that the animals are eating. So we don't think about what our meat eats, but that's a big component of the footprint of our meat. And so on top of the population growing overall globally, we're also, which is a good thing, having a higher GDP. People are becoming more wealthy. And so globally, people are eating more meat, eating more protein. And so there's just a huge forecasted demand in meat. Globally, as well as just sort of on a national basis, we're going to have to be meeting more demand for food production. And so we need to think about new tools. we can't do this just with yield increases on our crops. We need to think about different solutions. And so that's where what we're doing can really make an impact. Our product can feed virtually any animal. We can feed humans. That's not the market we're looking at, but you could eat bugs directly. They're actually quite tasty. They kind of have like a nutty flavor. If I thought about
Future episode of GWATA.
I was going to say, if I thought, I would have brought some and made you guys eat some bugs on air. But, we know there's barriers to making humans eat insects directly, but people love to eat chicken and fish and shrimp and a lot of these types of proteins that we're getting better at farming. So aquaculture, I was just at an aquaculture conference last week. It's a great emerging way to meet some of this demand for the production of protein, but we're using, for example, fish meal. So we're taking small fish out of the ocean to feed the fish that we're farming, which is not the most sustainable way to be producing. If we could take a waste product, feed it to bugs, and use the bugs to produce these proteins for the fish, that's a much more sustainable way of producing that meat. And so that's really the opportunity that we see with insects.
Well, what resonates, I feel like, as a local resident in a valley that's known for feeding the world. Mm-hmm. Like, we are the agriculture hub.
Right.
And your product is going to provide another layer and another layer of innovation right here in our community.
Right. And fertilizer is another big product. So we actually buy weight to produce more fertilizer than feed. So for about every 4 pounds of feed, you get a pound of bugs and 3 pounds of fertilizer. So we're actually going to be producing quite a bit of fertilizer. And as an organic fertilizer that's nutrient balanced, has no nitrates, has a lot of valuable micronutrients like zinc and magnesium, this is a product that we know can help a lot of the farmers in this community.
Well, we're excited, again, to have you here, to have you join our community, to be the Flywheel Investment Conference winner. And what's exciting is that you're making the transition over here, so I know you're going to be out and about in the community and a part of it. How can the community support you, and how can our investors continue to support you, like, in your journey over here?
Yeah, well, we are always looking to make more connections in this agri-food system that we're entering. We're really excited about that. So looking for connections there. We're obviously going to be looking for talent very soon here, so we're going to be hiring quite a few roles in business development, operations, and so we'll be looking for some talent. So that's always great, just to have the right, the right people on the team is really key. And then I think also just for us, we want to be also understanding what we can do for the community. So, how can we teach kids in this community about science, about entomology and bugs, and how bugs are actually cool, and we shouldn't think about them as the enemy, but rather as a resource. If there are ways that we can help the community, that would be great for us to know, so that we can really start, we want to be setting roots down here. So.
Wonderful. Speaks, I know, to the science educator over here.
Yes, I'm already putting you to work, Virginia. I get you up on Saddle Rock teaching 5th graders.
There you go. There you go. I did this in a past life, actually, working with kids. And kids love bugs. It's such an important entry point for biology and appreciation of nature.
Yeah. Excellent.
Well, thank you both for joining us on air today, being a part of Flywheel and GWATA. We do have to, unfortunately, conclude, because we could keep talking about bugs, I feel like. We had a lot of fun today.
We'll have to have another session where I cook some bugs for you guys.
Exactly. A live taste testing experience. So learn more about Virginia Emery, the Flywheel Conference, and the Flywheel Investors through 2 of our websites. We have GWATA.org or FlywheelConference.com, and we will see you next time on the NCW Life News Channel.
Since 1999, GWATA has served as North Central Washington's Tech Alliance. As a 501c3, our mission is to bring people and technology resources together to create a thriving community. Through our work, we aim to inspire, engage, and connect.